for obvious reasons. Many Nigerians see it as a document that was hurriedly put together by the military in preparation for the return to democratic government. Hence, from the onset, there have been incessant calls for its review from virtually every section of the country. The 7th Assembly, 2011 to 2015, carried out a lengthy constitutional review process that included public hearings across the 6 geopolitical zones at zonal and consensus level. But unfortunately, the outcome was truncated because of disagreement between the presidency and the National Assembly over the removal of presidential assent from the process of the constitutional amendment. The current exercise gives us a perfect opportunity to forcefully address current affairs that are germane to the country's peculiar challenges, especially as it relates to our federal structure and national security. Among the contentious issues of the proposed review are those of state police, fiscal federalism, devolution of powers, and local government creation by state. As a government, we have examined the proposed areas of amendment exhaustively, and I will briefly highlight some of our submissions to this committee. After carefully considering all the salient attributes of a federal system, as well as the historical antecedent relating to federalism as practiced in Nigeria, Delta State government and its people are convinced that Nigeria should continue as a federation, but with a proper federal structure. We believe that some of the features that qualifies a political system to be referred to as federal include, among others, 1, acceptable and legitimate division of powers among different tiers of government. 2, a written constitution delineating such division. 3, the coordinate supremacy of the levels of government with regard to their respective functions. And 4, a considerable measure of autonomy, fiscal, legislative, and judicial of the federal government and the federating unit. In retrospect, we note that the foundation upon which Nigeria built was federalism, which was adjudged to be more functional and realistic for our ethnic, linguistic, religious, and cultural diversities. A federalism that recognized the federating units and the federal government as mutually coordinate and not subordinate to one to the other, yet cooperative among themselves. Up till 1963 Constitution, each of the region of Nigerian Federation has an independent constitution which afforded them the capacity to mobilize resources within their territories for the development of their people. Few will dispute the fact that this period remains the most glorious era of Nigeria state in democratic governance. In the federal structure of governance in Nigeria, there are 3 tiers upon which the powers of government are shared. These are federal, state, and local governments. However, the local governments are today not independent. In law, as provided in the Constitution, they are created by the state government as administrative units, which can best facilitate development in their areas. However, this provision, which also requires the National Assembly and the Presidency to ratify the creation of local government area as an administrative unit, is an aberration in the context of true federalism. Hence, we propose that these parties be terminated in the envisaged new constitution. Consequently, we hereby recommend the deletion of section 9 of the Constitution, which vests this consequential power on the National Assembly. As a corollary, we further recommend the delisting of the existing local government areas from the Constitution as contained in Part 1, First Schedule thereof. In the proposed new Constitution, states should have exclusive power to create local governments purely as administrative units and through their houses of assembly enact laws on the allocation of revenue to the local governments for the development of their areas. We do not deny the possibility that state government could abuse this privilege, especially in the early years of its adoption. But we are confident that with the progressive observance of democratic norms and value in Nigeria polity, such initial abuses shall gradually give way to the desired equitable relationship between the state government and their local governments. Consistent with our review of the exclusive and concurrent legislative list and the scope of duty thereby assigned to state government, it is logical to provide the states with the requisite authority and resources by which these duties can be performed. This is in line with the ideal of fiscal federalism, which concept relates to the policies and law guiding the sharing of revenue in a federation. Consequently, to ensure that the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission is able to execute its mandate without interference, it is our submission that the Commission shall lay before the National Assembly proposals for revenue allocation from the Federation account. In determining the formula, the National Assembly shall take into account the allocation principles, especially those of population, equality of states, internal revenue generation, land mass, terrain, as well as population density, provided that the principle of derivation shall be constantly reflected in any approved formula as being not less than 50% of the revenue accruing to the Federation account directly from any natural resources. Furthermore, any amount standing to the credit of the Federation account shall be distributed among the 3 tiers of government on such terms and in such manner as may be prescribed by the National Assembly, provided that the federal government shall be entitled to not more than 40% shares of the revenue. By the devolution of power being advocated, which will come with increased responsibility to the state, it is imperative for them to have more funds for the development of their territories. We also propose that all revenue collected by the government of the Federation, except the proceeds from the personal income tax of the personnel of armed forces of the Federation, Nigeria Police Force, the ministry or department of government charged with its responsibility for foreign affairs, and the residents of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, should be paid into the Federation account. This shall include all revenue from parastatals of the Federation, including NNPC, NLNG, CBN, MPA, NIMASA, FAN, and other similar agencies, and they shall only appropriate for their expenditures after approval by the National Assembly. It is anomalous for these parastatals, agencies of Federation to collect and spend all revenue due to the Federation account by themselves without reference to an approved budget by the National Assembly is as provided in Section 80, subsection 1 of the Constitution. The people and government of Delta State, having considered the utmost need for the creation of state police, as in other true federalism worldwide, recommend that state police be provided for in the envisaged new constitution. With creation of the state police, the state assume all full responsibilities for regular policing of their geographical territories with a view to maintaining public order and public safety. It is our recommendation that the Nigeria police should be restricted to enforcement of federal laws, while local policing should be restricted to enforcement of state laws. The details of the structure of the state police, operational modalities, and funding mechanism are comprehensively outlined in our presentations. Distinguished senators, these are but excerpts from our recommendations to this committee, which we have elaborated upon in our position paper. I must let you know that the government and people of Delta State are eagerly looking forward to a revised constitution so that we, the people, will be a phrase that, in the context of the envisaged new constitution, truly reflects the yearnings and aspirations of Nigeria's people. It is on this note, distinguished senators, ladies and gentlemen, that I now declare this public hearing open. Thank you for your Thank you for your time and attention, and I wish you very fruitful deliberation. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless us all. Thank you and God bless.
Through constitutional process of alteration successfully, then our constitutional democracy will be set on the right pedestal, and ultimately Nigeria will take its pride of place among the enviable constitutional democracies in the world. It is therefore with great pleasure that I convey the intention of the Senate to leverage on this constitutional review exercise to achieve as many milestones as possible in one fell swoop. Let me also remind our fellow patriots, countrymen and women, that the constitutional review represents a critical phase in our development and advancement as a nation. So far, we have had over 2 decades of constitutional rule under the 1999 Constitution. This is an important feat, and we commend ourselves as a country. Even if we are not aware we are not where we aspire to be. As a living document, the Constitution, and to a large extent, our constitutional democracy, need to be reviewed from time to time. Just as in our day-to-day lives, we take stock of the past and plan for the future, so it must be with the nation. Indeed, this ongoing review provides a platform for the good people of Nigeria to express their opinions on the fundamental law that governs our lives through proposals that will lead to the highest good for the greatest number of our people. No doubt, we are going to have diverse and different views on the different themes of the exercise. However, the focus for this committee is how to manage the review exercise in a fair, inclusive, credible, and transparent manner. Public hearings are critical to participatory democracy and indispensable in the constitutional amendment exercise if the Constitution is to be seen as a people's document. These zonal public hearings have been designed in such a manner as to give citizens greater opportunities to make inputs more than ever before in the constitutional amendment process. This is in line with the 9th Senate commitment to organize an amendment process that is informed by the public good. It's inclusive and supported by a modicum of consensus not dominated by destructive or short-term motives and free from manipulations by self-interested or partisan states and non-state actors. The Senate Committee on the Review of the Constitution is mindful of the recurring clamor for constitutional amendment or review over the years. Since the return to constitutional democracy in 1999, many have argued that the 1999 Constitution is not a people's constitution. In other words, it has been argued that it was written and forced down on us by the military without any input from we, the people. There are developmental challenges in our country. Many argue that these challenges are due to several factors, which include history, culture, natural endowments, and politics. We have a compelling duty carefully to address every challenge to this nation, and there is no better way to do it than through this constitutional amendment exercise. Undoubtedly, this places on us, the Senate and our counterparts in the House of Representatives, are equivalent task of giving the people a constitution that speaks to those challenges and one which our citizens can truly call their own. Although this review is not an attempt at writing an entirely new constitution, and we do not pretend to do so, it gives an opportunity to bring it closer to that which the people desire and to ensure active participation and input from all. This is the course of the zonal public hearing. So far, the Senate Committee on Constitutional Review has received a lot of memoranda on a broad range of issues and proposals. We have also referred bills from distinguished senators which seek to improve the Constitution by providing clarity on some existing constitutional provisions, while some are entirely new introductions, seeking to respond to contemporary governance issues. The committee has also been tasked with revisiting some of the amendments proposed in the past exercise, which did not scale through all the orders of constitutional amendments, such as the concurrence with the House of Representatives, ratification by state houses of assembly, and the requirement for presidential assent. We have painstakingly re-examined these bills and reintroduced some of those proposals we deem beneficial to our people. We are looking at them to determine at what stage of the process they fell off the list and the reasons thereof, with a view to improving them to suit the demands of our time and ensuring that they do not suffer the same fate. Fellow Nigerians, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to assure you most sincerely that the memoranda you have already submitted and those that you may come forward arising from these public hearings and all the deliberations and engagements that will come forth from them will not only enjoy critical consideration by this committee, but they will be the last star of our work as a committee. I encourage and implore all of us here today, irrespective of political affiliation, and Nigerians both at home and diaspora to support the Senate and indeed the National Assembly. And indeed the National Assembly in our desire to bring positive transformations to our country. I therefore invite you all to participate actively at this public hearing so that together we can bequeath to our nation with a people-centered constitution. Before concluding this welcome address, I eminently thank Your Excellencies for your invaluable support, and especially our oath for according our team very warm reception. Let me also place on record my profound appreciation for the untiring efforts of all my distinguished colleagues in planning the zonal public hearing. I wish to also thank all honorable members of the House of Representatives, honorable speakers, and members of state houses of assembly here present for your immense contributions towards hosting this zonal public hearing. Our development partners and civil societies organizations we have mobilized to be here are highly appreciated. Finally, we are grateful to our consultants and secretariat who worked so hard to ensure that we conduct this public hearing successfully. Once again, on behalf of the Senior Committee on Constitutional Review, this is Ofio Omogege speaking. Once again, on behalf of the State Senior Committee on Constitutional Review, I welcome you all to this zonal public hearing. Thank you for your attention. May God bless you all.
We don't need a soothsayer to know that the state police has become inevitable. When people who are familiar with the community, city, council, or state are given the responsibility of policing such areas, the tendency of intrusion by outsider is minimal. Mr. Chairman, you will recall that a few weeks ago in this, our state capital, Asaba, the Southern governors met and resolved that the progress of the nation required that urgent and bold step be taken to restructure the Nigerian Federation that will lead to the evolution of state police, review of revenue allocation formula in favor of the sub-national governments, and creation of other institutions that will legitimately advance our commitment to and practice of true federalism. The governors also call on the federal government to convoke a national dialogue as a matter of urgency to address widespread agitations among various people for greater inclusiveness in the existing governance arrangement. These are genuine agitations that must be addressed for the unity of the nation. Furthermore, it is our expectation that the Constitution should be altered to include an electronic voting system. This will guarantee free, fair elections in the country. Again, the issue of fiscal federalism is crucial for the economic growth of the country. Devolution of power should go hand in hand with fiscal federalism. Let the states take ownership of resources within their states and contribute a determined percentage to the central government. This is how true federalism functions. Our great author, Ware Casey, 1963, in the federal government, 4th edition, London Oxford University Press, postulated thus: by federalism, I mean a method of dividing powers so that the federal and regional government are each within a fair, coordinate, and independent. I have implied to the extent that any system that does not conform to this criterion has no claim to call itself federal. Distinguished Chairman, I have unwavering faith in the ability of this committee to deliver on its mandate excellently. I also know that the final outcome of the public hearing across the zones will be the ultimate game changer Nigerians are looking forward to. At the state level, I wish to pledge our desire to partner with the National Assembly on the review of the 1999 Constitution. I am making this commitment first as the National Deputy Chairman of Conference of Speakers of State Legislature of Nigeria and the Right Honorable Speaker of Delta State House of Assembly. Once again, I welcome you to Delta State. While here, at your leisure time, you may wish to explore the sight and sound of our dear state and savor the hospitality of our people because we are very hospitable. Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the committee, let me again especially thank and commend this committee for its commitment and patriotic spirit in carrying out this public hearing. It is my prayer that at the end of this nationwide exercise, we will all have a more befitting, workable, and people-oriented document we will all be proud of.
On these issues that relate to the review of the 1999 Constitution. Our position begins with a memorandum, gives you an introduction of Delta State, brief overview, the peoples of Delta State, occupations, concerns, and our concerns include that 1/3 of the entire oil and gas produced in the country come from Delta State. And we have over 15 oil-based industries and facilities in this state. What that has led to is that the unfriendly and unethical means of exploiting and exploring oil and gas have left our ecosystem devastated. And we have aspirations. Our aspirations are to correct some of these ills, which include discrimination against us at the federal level, in appointments and other things, and also that we have a federal structure that works, that deals with equitable distribution of resources and recognizes where resources come from. We are asking in this position paper that the derivation formula should move from 13% to 50%. We are talking about federal structure, and we know that what we have as a federal government is one that has acceptable and legitimate division of powers among different tiers of government. One that has coordinate supremacy of the levels of government with regard to their respective functions, and a considerable measure of autonomy, fiscal, legislative, and judicial of the federal government and the federating units. Our governor of Delta State has talked about what the 1993 Constitution were like and the power that it gave to federating units then. We are asking that that same thing be entrenched in our new constitution, the proposed constitution that is being reviewed. Because of this, we have also touched on devolution of powers. We have looked at the exclusive list. We have looked at the concurrent list. And we are recommending in this position that 22 in the table that we have provided, 22 items. We recommend that those 22 items be either moved to the concurrent list or amended. I will give examples of those items. Number 2, as it is in the Constitution, is arms and ammunition and explosives. We recommend that that be transferred to the concurrent list because to facilitate the provision of requirements, requisite arms, ammunition, and explosive for the state police force, the state also should have the right to acquire arms, ammunition, and explosives. We also talk about census. We do not see why state governments cannot organize their own census.
Hello?
Why they cannot register.
You are being timed. Be very conscious of the timing.
So have I done it? Have I used the time? Okay, thank you very much. I'm happy that my governor spoke to some of the issues in our memorandum, and we have submitted 20 copies to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Because let me assure everybody, the papers that will be submitted, we will look through the papers, we will scrutinize the papers, we will not be in a hurry. Everything will be done by His grace. It's not the amount of talking you do here that will help us. It's what you have written down for us to go through, which is very, very important. And therefore, when you come on stage, please, just talk briefly within 5 minutes and present your papers. That is what is important. Is Bayelsa State ready? I recognize the Benin National Congress. I'm sure it's represented here. Very well. Thank you.
His Excellency, Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, ably represented by the Speaker, the Chairman of the Review Committee, distinguished senators, I wouldn't fail to recognize our leader, His Excellency Senator Henry Seriake Dixon, and other distinguished senators present. Permit me at this stage to stand on the already established protocols. This Senate Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution invited us here for the purpose of alteration of the Constitution, and that is why we are here. Firstly, we are looking at the issue of public revenue, fiscal federalism, and revenue allocation. As you are all aware, this is very, very important to the peace and economic development of this country. To that extent, the position of the Bayelsa State government on fiscal federalism is full resource control of all resources located onshore of the federating states. This principle of resource control is in keeping with the global best practice of democracies and federations in other nations, such as the United States. Like you are aware, in the United States, they have a constitution of their own. So they control their resources. And we borrowed this same federal structure from the United States. The presidential system we are managing today is from the United States. So why can't we emulate them properly? We therefore support 100% ownership of minerals and other resources of the federated units and subsequent payment of tax to the federal government. Accordingly, we most solemnly recommend and request that the Constitution and all relevant laws be amended and altered to grant every state in Nigeria the ownership of rights over all minerals, resources found in their respective states. The second one, I'll be very brief. The second one is on state and local government creation. Bayelsa State proposed the federated units should be called states. However, we demand that the number of such units to be arrived at finally in the country should be open to negotiations and collective bargaining in view of the Constitution's claims and all cases being made by various ethnic nationalities. Therefore, we demand, in line with recommendations of the 2004 National Conference, the creation of additional 4 states in the South-South zone, namely Toru Ibe State, Oil River State, Anioma State, and Ogoje State. We also recommend that all sub-units, local government areas under the federation units, shall be created independently and catered for by the federating units without recourse to the federal government. We therefore agree that it is an aberration for 3-tier levels to share powers and resources in a federal system of government as is concurrently practiced in Nigeria. Constitutional provisions for the establishment of state police.
Yes, sir. You have been timed.
We are all aware of what is happening in this country. We are all aware of what is happening in this country. Now the country is in turmoil. It has gotten to the stage where we would need state police, community policing. So Bayelsa State government is recommending that the constitution be altered to create police for each of the states. Well, in respect of electoral reforms, we recommend that the Electoral Act be altered to include electronic voting and electronic processing of votes as a standard for election. As we are all aware,
Yes, sir. 5 minutes is over.
well, on devolution of federal structure and devolution of powers, we are saying that the part 68, that the exclusive list, is top heavy. So most of the items there should either be moved to the states or better still to the concurrent list. I don't want to go into all that because we have them in our papers.
Yeah.
On residency and indigent provision, we are saying that we recommend that the Constitution...
Yes, sir. It's time off.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We have all these things contained in our paper. I thank you, distinguished senators. I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Please, let's obey our chairman now.
Hello? Hi? Hello? Your papers will speak for you. Present your papers and summarize what is inside that paper in 5 minutes. That is what is important. Bayelsa appears to be very prepared for this public hearing. You know. Is Edo State also prepared? Edo State, please. Edo State government. Edo State government. All right. Government of Edo State.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Delta State, ably represented by the Speaker of Delta State, our distinguished senators, I'd like to specially recognize Senator Matthew Oroide, the senator representing Edo South of my dear state, the capital city of Edo State, and as well as Senator Francis Ali Mikena, the senator representing Edo North. Honorable speakers, members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have all our issues and concerns put together on this position paper. I have listened to other states. I would like not to touch on the areas where we have similarities and go straight to the point. First, like I mentioned earlier, we got all the stakeholders in Edo State to make input on this position paper. We touched on gender equity, increased participation of women and vulnerable groups in governance. And our proposal is that the language be gender neutral in our constitution, and that he or she be replaced with a person. We also propose that full citizenship be ascribed to women, and discrimination should be prohibited on the basis of gender, pregnancy, and marital status. We also propose that Section 14(3) of the Constitution should be amended to consider gender balance in respect of appointments of offices. We also recommend on residency and indigenship. Our position as Edo people is that the state should strive to repeal the section of the Constitution which promotes indigeneity and replace with residency. That there should be legislation by representatives to promote effective residency than discriminating as to where you come from, most especially when it regards to women, when it comes to elective position or appointive position in the country. Considering the reality we are faced with our dear country today, we as Edo people believe that the issue of bicameral legislature is no longer sustainable, and that we are proposing a unicameral legislature as a country, where we recommend that every state should not have more than 5 representatives speaking for us in Abuja. We also believe that every state assembly should not have more than 4 representatives per senatorial district to represent us at the state houses of assembly.
Clap now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when the Edo government representative, the Right Honorable Speaker, said for the National Assembly so number, there was serious applause from the public, from the audience. When he pinned down the number for the House of Assembly to 4 per senatorial district, no clapping. Waiting now. Go ahead, Mr. Speaker, please, go ahead.
Your Excellencies, distinguished senators, on electoral reform, our position is the establishment of an electoral offense commission to try offenders and violators of election guidelines and regulation. We also propose the unbundling of INEC to accommodate new election management body responsible solely for the registration and monitoring of political parties and ensure they comply with the electoral laws.
Edo State, Mr. Speaker. Time. Round up, please.
Conclusively, we have touched on every issue and all our positions have been canvassed on the position paper which will be submitted to this committee. Thank you and God bless.
Presented by the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. So I'm here to just give a goodwill message that whatever becomes of this country going forward, our collective survival as a people depends on the outcome of this constitutional review. For me, I would like to have a country where, and as a people, the people of Bayelsa, I would like to have a country where the principles are based on what I would like to say the maxim of Cicero Delegabrus, when he said, "Sopuli supremalex esto." What that means is that the felicity of the people should be the supreme law. The security of the people should be the supreme law. The welfare of the people should be the supreme law. The health of the people should be the supreme law. We want to live in a country where these principles are upheld. As a people, we want to live in a country where animals did not take precedence for human life. As a people, we want to live in a country where I come from a minority. We would like to live in a country where resources from my place should be controlled by my people, by the people the resources come from. That we would like to live in a place, in a country, where merit should take precedence than ethnicity and favoritism. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that as members of the Bayelsa State House of Assembly, we have very little role to play. That at the collective, at the end of the day, where the Senate comes up with areas where we're expected to legislate, ours is to agree or not to agree. We will do the needful to only those areas that will guarantee our collective survival. The Bayelsa State House of Assembly will approve of all of those things that will give every one of us a sense of belonging in this country. Like I said earlier, since the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice of Bayelsa State already have the position of Bayelsa State, I would not like to go into all of the things we'll put together as a state. I want to thank the Senate for coming up with this. There cannot be a better time than this. We cannot hide the fact that the country is in flame. Nobody is sure of what happened next. So I believe that this is the only avenue. I believe in the legislative lobbying power of our people to get the understanding of those from the other parts of the country to agree to the areas that will make us live together well as a people. Thank you very much, and may God bless all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. From Bayelsa, let me now invite the Edo State House of Assembly Speaker. Please step forward. The Right Honorable Marcus Onobu, the Speaker, Edo State House of Assembly, stepping forward. Please, a round of applause for him.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Delta State, ably represented by the Speaker of Delta State House of Assembly, distinguished senators, honorable speakers, and members here present, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to first to quickly mention that we as Edo people, we have met, discussed, and taken a position, and we'll be making that position paper, presenting it to the Committee on Senate. Let me restrict myself to the goodwill message. I count it a rare privilege to be invited to this unique gathering of joint zonal public hearing on proposed alteration of the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Frankly speaking, the need for a public hearing on this issue is long overdue, especially against the backdrop of multifarious interests on the current Constitution, on what the Constitution failed to address in recent time. It will interest you to know that as legislators elected by our constituents, be it at the national or state level, our responsibility is to make laws for peace, order, and good government as provided by Section 4(1) and 100(1) respectively of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. However, talking about alteration of constitutional provisions under Section 9 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, vests the powers of alteration of the National Assembly, of alteration on the National Assembly, working in harmony with the state houses of assembly. This development is a clear indication of the synergy between the National and State Assembly for such alterations to occur. It is no longer news to say that the present Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, has witnessed over 30 alterations, with further alteration being contemplated, hence the necessity for the public hearing today. It is also a notorious fact that there is no perfection in life, and therefore no constitution is perfect the world over. Even in advanced democracies, such as the United States of America, India, and United Kingdom, are making alteration in their constitution as the need arises. While Nigeria is not an exception, especially as a fledgling democracy, ours is still work in progress towards achieving perfection. Therefore, it is not out of place to make these alterations to suit the present day realities of the situation facing our dear country today. Having gone through the issues for public hearing, I am convinced, as well as my colleagues in the legislature, that they are germane and well thought out, at least to allay the fears for agitation of marginalization, inequalities, and the likes in our dear country. It is my sincere hope that this public hearing will afford every stakeholder the opportunity to contribute meaningfully to the issues at stake and come up with resolution aimed at strengthening our democracy and institution, as well as our democratic institutions, as well as our nascent democracy. I wish you all a fruitful deliberation. God bless you all.
The governor of Edo State, the Senate committee, the three states concerned, I salute you. Onua, Ado, the traditional rulers have one main request. Put us back on the Constitution. Around 1976, there were administrative reforms and the traditional rulers were stripped of most of the powers. Then followed down by 1999 Constitution. They were removed from the Constitution completely. The question is, if your child is in school and his name is not in the school register, is he in that school? The answer is no. So traditional rulers must be mentioned and reinstated in the Constitution. Traditional rulers would have been, if we're following the old parliamentary system, the House of Lords, which is now replaced in the presidential system by the Senate. So traditional rulers could have also been given a seat, one traditional ruler from each state to be a member of the Senate. That is an innovation that can still be introduced. Short of that, the traditional rulers should have their own tier of administration. To alienate them in this manner is self-defeating because you are actually denoting your own very foundation. The remuneration for the traditional rulers should be treated just like the High Court judges from the Consolidated Revenue Funds. Traditional Rulers Council should be established in every state, and they should be given definite functions, which should of course include advisory functions, but they also can be given specific functions. Basically, we have made submissions at the national level, and we adopt all that has been presented at our national level. We are only adding to it to blemish it a bit more. Thank you very much.
Very good example of leadership. If all other persons would do exactly the same with what your Royal Majesty has done, in another 1, 2, 3 hours time, we will be out of this place. Please, please. So any other traditional ruler who wants to speak?
The first issue I want to bring to the attention of the distinguished senator and members of this committee are one, there is a global standard that labor matters are governed by international law and international standards. They are prescribed in the ILO as conventions, as protocol, as recommendations, and so on and so forth. But what is important is that the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the 17th of October 1960 joined the International Labour Organization and ratified 8 principal conventions. We have summarized these conventions in the memorandum we had the privilege to submit to your committee yesterday, so I won't dwell on them. What I want to bring to your attention is that it is imperative that the minimum wage is retained in the exclusive legislative list, because the alternative to doing that is that a woman will not be paid the same salary as a man. Some states will pay wage labors, slave labor wages, and some other states will pay better. However, in the context of the federation, all the federal jurisdictions in the world have the minimum wage on the exclusive legislative list. Industrial relations, pensions are on the exclusive legislative list. So change the course in Nigeria would be anomalous. And so we
call on the committee to retain the minimum wage and international binding law on Nigeria in the exclusive legislative list. The second issue I want to bring to your attention, sir, is that Delta State was a part, including parts of Bayelsa, and Edo State were parts of Western region. In 1959, Thursday, 4th June 1959, the Premier of Western region drew attention of the federal government that its refusal to introduce a policy of £5 minimum wage has made federal workers poorer in the Western region compared to their Western counterparts. We have also highlighted that one. So we have three basic prayers. First, that the National Assembly should retain the national minimum wage, labor, industrial relations in the exclusive legislative list. That the National Assembly should favorably consider the demands for the full realization of autonomy of the legislative arm of government, judicial arm of government, and of course, local government autonomy. The third prayer we have presented before your committee, distinguished senators, is that we should consider the strengthening and promotion of the socio-economic rights of Nigerians, especially as captured in Chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution under review. Particularly, gender equality is more than gender neutrality. Men and women should earn the same wages for equal work done. Men and women should be collectively gathered at the table of decision making. Men and women must be equally represented in the legislature and in the executive and in all branches of government. Finally, distinguished senators, ladies and gentlemen, we plead with this honorable committee of the National Assembly that the 72-page document we have submitted, you find time to look at it more closely, which we have tried to summarize in these 2 minutes. And we wish you well. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Aluta continua.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Socio-cultural groups, President INT'L National Congress, Professor Benjamin Okaba. The Orobo Progress Union, please be ready.
For want of time, Chairman of this occasion, permit me to stand on the existing protocols. I am Professor Benjamin Ogele Okaba, representing over 18 million Ijaw people. The fourth largest ethnic nationality out of 250 in Nigeria. The key producers of oil and gas that sustains this nation. But unfortunately, criminally balkanized to abject poverty, deprivation, neglect, marginalization, underdevelopment. Permit me to start by saying, while appreciating the committee for doing a good job, that the greatest fraud visited on the Ijaw people is the enactment of the 1999 Constitution. This satanic document is responsible for making us poor, the poorest, in the midst of what we provide. As a matter of fact, because of the time given to us, let me quickly align myself with the positions presented by the Bayelsa State government and the Bayelsa State House of Assembly. For truly, Bayelsa is the central of Ijaw nation. Bayelsa, Yanagwa is the Jerusalem of Ijaw nation. But while doing that, on the issue of restructuring, please let us note that the way we are now, Nigeria is not even a federation. Nigeria does not even qualify to be a unitary system. In fact, it is a renter society. where the powers and wealth of some people are grabbed forcefully and used at the detriment of the minorities. We suffer this most. So we strongly stand for restructuring along 10 regions. We stand for devolution of power. We stand, in fact, we want only 7 items to be retained in an exclusive list. We stand very firmly on the issue of fiscal federalism, because once more, we are not asking for anything new. Fiscal federalism was introduced to the lexicon of Nigerian political economy in 1946 with reference to the Philipson Commission that recognizes the powers of indigenes to control the resources they have and make contributions to the national body. That was the practice with the 1954 Constitution. And when cocoa, groundnut, oil, palm oil were the mainstay of the economy, fiscal federalism was practiced. There was a criminal distortion with the discovery of oil in 1954, 1958, and since then we have been denied our resources. We want to believe that if tomorrow oil is found in the north and some of our regions, we might go back to 150%. Please, oil is a renewable energy. Now that we are still alive and seeing the petroleum, we want to have 100% control of our resources. We are not asking for anything new. Please, take us back to the foundation of this country. 1960, 1963, we had constitutions that gave basis for revenue allocation. Get us back to the original bit, because this is a betrayal of the Joe nation. This is a betrayal fraud on the Joe people, and it's not acceptable.
Mr. President, you have been timed.
So, on the issues of policing, yes, it's acceptable to us. And again, we are asking for 2 additional states. We want a tribal state, we want an oil river state, because we are contiguous. And again, please, let me use this opportunity to tell us, Ijaw people were never conquered, Ijaw people can never be conquered, we are not part of Biafra, we are not part of Oduduwa. We are distinct people with a distinct identity. And we are going to protect our territorial integrity. And well. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, sir, I need to stand on the existing protocol. We, the Robo Nation, we are very happy with this development because we feel that for a long time, the imported 1999 Constitution from America was skewed in favor of a certain section of this country. And now that we have the opportunity, we the Robos have sat down and said that we are going to key and align ourselves with what our state government and House of Assembly have done. But Robo Nation, in Delta states, we are about 5 million people. And we have been shortchanged seriously by this country because the constitution is skewed to the north. And in so doing, if we go back, we had 4 regions: the Midwest region, the north, the west, and the east. As of today, the north has 19 states by the military administration. The east have how many? 9 states, while the west has 6 states. But the Midwest region has only 2. That's Edo and Delta. We feel that this is very, very unfair to us. We in UPU have sat down and said that we must have a review. And that is why, without mincing words, we are not saying that we should create a robust state for us. But the current Delta state should be split. We need an Anioma state to be created out of the current Delta state. We need it. So that that we can have a fair share of what is due to Nigeria. We know that the fiscal federalism that has been negotiated here, we are in tandem with them. So we are not going back there. But our cry to the National Assembly is that create a Neoma state from the current Delta state. Mr. Abadio!
Benin National Congress. Benin National Congress, it's your turn.
Benin National Congress. Ishekiri, get ready.
On behalf of the Benin National Congress, which goes with the motto is Oyaya Senior Woman. It is, you need to defend your place and your people by the zeal and the power that God has given you. So, I want to thank the Senate for giving us the opportunity to present our paper. I want to especially thank the chairman, Senator Manager, and especially our two senators representing us here, Senator Francis Lemehena and Senator Matthew Rogide. You are welcome. I have no doubt that with their presence here, our message shall be properly delivered. In Benin, we don't choose people that are not representing us. They represent us very well. Our position papers have been presented, so I will just go summarizing it. We believe that consumption tax, whatever name you call it, VAT or anything, as far as it is coming out of a state, only the state should have control and access to that fund. We are against taking VAT from anywhere else to the Abuja, and then you reshare it back to the states by any formula at all. We want the states to be in control of their consumption taxes. Call it VAT, call it by whatever sales tax, the states must control it. We also are of the opinion that with respect to the item 7, Electoral Reform, that the chairman of INEC should no longer be elected or be appointed by Mr. President. The chairman of INEC should be a card-carrying member of a political party. The political parties that have a certain level of representative in the National Assembly or State Assembly, depending on the wisdom of the National Assembly, will at the end of every election nominate people into INEC, and among them they will choose who their chairman will be, so that when INEC are making policies for election, all parties are represented. Because a situation where I nominate my brother to become INEC chairman, what election do you think it would make for me? We also are of the opinion that we are talking about Electoral Act, Electoral Reform, item number 7B, that administrative indictment should also include indictment by the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, and ICPC. So if you are any person is indicted by any of these agencies that were created, they should not be allowed to go for electoral contest. We are also of the opinion that in case of people jumping from one party to the other, that before you are allowed to jump from your party to another party and claiming that there is a division in your party that elected you, that you should go and get a permit, an order from the court. A court should, yes, you should approach the court will say yes, in your party there is division. That is the paper that you will take to the Senate or to the House of Rep for you to be allowed to the camp.
Benin National Congress, you have been time.
Okay, sir. So we also have the opinion that the constituency review should not be a May I'm talking about review of senatorial districts and federal constituencies. Since 1999, there have been no review of constituencies. The constitution says every 10 years, but because it is a may, INEC has shied away from undertaking this its responsibility. We believe that that word may should be removed and turned to shall, so that they make it compulsory. Okay. The order of our point is that those who are owing money to banks, they should not be allowed to contest elections. So before you are allowed to contest elections, you should get a clearance from the financial institutions to say you don't owe the banks. Because we cannot allow people who are owing money, to the banks and which are depositors' funds to now be running to the House of Rep or House of Senate. These are some of our points. The other of our points are still on the paper that we have already presented. Our own point is to deepen our constituency, ensure we have a corruption-free society, and ensure that the states from which the revenues are generated, those revenues are going to the state. Thank you very much.
You have made your point.
Thank you.
While the security people will be presenting the Ondokwa ethnic nationality, please be ready. Ondokwa ethnic nationality, please be ready.
Shakiri.
Mike, yes. Yes. Ondokwa ethnic nationality, please be ready. Please, if you have anything to present as a sociocultural group, if we don't have your name here, we cannot say anything. We can't invite you without you coming to us to say you are here. Please. You are here as a sociocultural group and you are representing a sociocultural group. Just felt here. Let us know who you are so that we can invite you to come and present your case. I can see the former deputy governor of Delta State, Benjamin Ilue, Chief. Okay, is new having something to present? Okay, it's all right. Yes, it's a good national. Over to you.
Mr. Chairman, please permit me to stand on existing protocol. And the next thing is to say that we hereby adopt the paper which we have presented. And my name is Chief Brown Mene, the Ogwolusa of Warri. The one thing we want to highlight for the attention of all of us is the fact that before there ever was Nigeria, all of us that are in Nigeria today were ethnic nationalities, standing each one on its own. But unfortunately, we have kept being lumped together, whether referred to in terms of local government or in terms of states, and losing sight of the nationalities that we are. We want for that to be highlighted. It is from there flows our thought that what God has given to us in our land, as is being taken from us in the name of state or local government or the country, to our detriment, this should be reversed. Those who own the land, those whose land it is, whatever is in their land, they should have possession of it and have the 100% benefit flowing from it. And we do not therefore subscribe to saying that increase the derivation and let the state take it. We have always gone on being given the wrong end of the stick. This should stop. In the same vein, we do not prevent other people who want states created for them, but we want our own state because we have our own identity. And by our size and the resources that we have, we can look after ourselves. And those are the points that we want to stress. Mr. Chairman,
The other things that we want to speak of, they are all in our paper, and we adopt them accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chief Meme. On behalf of the Chekiri people, thank you very much. Ondokwa ethnic nationality, please. Ondokwa ethnic nationality. General Mike Ndubushi, please, retired. People are presented again. Oh, so that they will be there to be dominated. You are a liar.
The
You are a liar.
Executive Governor of Delta State, ably represented by the Speaker, Delta State Assembly, Mr. Chairman of this August committee, permit me to stand on existing protocol. I am General Mike Ndubuisi, retired, representing the good people of Ndokwa ethnic nationality. I have the mandate of my people to present what is germane to my ethnic nationality. Mr. Chairman, we as ethnic nationality have looked at certain issues that have been of great importance to us. And so, as we discuss the issue of constitutional review, we have looked at the state and local government creation. We have also gone ahead also to look at the local government autonomy, fiscal federalism, minority issue, quota system, judicial reforms, the state police, and true federalism, resource control, and the last but not the least, the constitutional rules for our traditional rulers. Well, in summary, we have said that the Ndokwa nation has been grossly marginalized, even right from beginning. We have observed, or rather noted, that presently the Ndokwa nation, because of its distinctive features, has found itself in a situation where it is hooked up either with the old Delta province or the proposed Anyoma state. And so what we have observed also is that presently the proposed Anyoma state has a configuration of two past divisions, the Abo division and the Asaba division. Presently, Asaba division has 6 local government areas, whereas the Abo division has just 3. The Abo division that comprises the Indo-Sumile and Ukwani districts has only 3, while the Asaba division has it. So what we're saying is there has to be, with the creation of local government areas, at least 6 in the Ndokwa nation to equal that of the Asaba division. Now, on the fiscal federalism, or the true, fiscal federalism, and we are saying that let the localities that produce their resources be in full control of their own resources. In fact, we want to stand by the position of the previous speakers from our region who have stated that it is 100% or nothing. Now, the next is a quota system. For quota system, our observation is that quota system has not been observed, or it's no longer observed in Nigeria. I think it's a great cheating to those of us from the minorities. And so what you see today is a situation whereby only one particular section of the country fills the major appointments in the MDAs, I think is grossly not good enough. Then the state police, we are saying that the state police will train our weight behind community police rather than the state police. This is because state police will promote witch hunting, which may be inimical to national cohesion and unity. So we are saying that it should be community policing and not state police. And of course, I have said the resource control. Okay, so
General, you have been timed.
all right. In conclusion, I say that the Ndokwa Nation stand resolutely on all that promotes a Nigeria where justice, fairness, peace, and unity reign. We believe in a Nigeria where no group or ethnic nationality should be made superior to others in our constitutions, wittingly or unwittingly. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Nolge, General Secretary, Nolge, please.
Nolge, oui.
Nolge. So we'll be with them, huh? That means they see you as a problem now.
The chairman of today's occasion, let me hide under the existing protocol. I am by name Comrade Agbonye Chukwemeke, the General Secretary of NOLGE, Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees. Our view is very simple. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria recognizes 3 tiers of government, and local government is one of the tiers. Unfortunately, the state government, through the instrumentality of the State House Assembly, has strangulated the local government councils. As a result, we are saying that there should be full autonomy of local government to give room for their constitutional responsibilities, function, structure, composition, and everything. In addition, we know all over the world that power belongs to the people. And so, anytime you want to choose a leader, you allow the people to make their choice. Unfortunately, at the local government level, although the Constitution allows the state independent electoral commission to conduct local government elections, but the instrumentality of the state governors have now changed the system to appointment. So in most cases, the governors appoint their stooges. If they even allow the SEC to do election, you discover that in a particular state where a party is in charge, in other words, if that state is a PDP party, when they are doing local government election, you discover that all the chairmen and councillors in all the states will be won by that party. That is not supposed to be so. If you allow the national INEC to do that election, definitely you will see different shades of opinions, because one party cannot control or win all the elections. Example is FCT, where national INEC conduct the election at the councils. So you discover that different parties do win different positions. And so we are saying that national INEC should be allowed to conduct local government election and not state SEC. Insecurity. We know that today, one of the issues bedefiling all of us is insecurity. And why it is like that is because the local government has not been allowed to do their statutory functions. If local government allows, given the autonomy, given the finances and supports, to do their responsibilities and their statutory functions, the problem of insecurity we are witnessing today will not be the way it is. Because most of the people that are troubling us today live in the rural areas. Over 70% of Nigerians live at the rural areas. Over 65% of the kidnapping, insecurity, banditry is in the rural areas, not in the city. It's only a few that happen in the city. And so we should allow the local government to have what we call local government police, and let that police be established in such a way that we will have a body that will do the recruiting, the training, the remuneration, the transfer, the composition, and everything, so that they will be closer to the people. In a situation where a new person comes into a community, definitely the leaders or that community will know that this is a new person. And so they can easily link up with the police and get that person arrested if that person has ulterior motive.
No,
but at the state level, it's about that the security has been overpopulated in the cities. We have the state headquarters of police, the army barrack, the police, the army, the air force, and everything at the state level. But at the local government level, none. So we are saying that let there be a local government police that can take care of our security challenges. Abolition of joint accounts. Not advocate for the abolition of state and local government accounts, which has been converted into a conduit pipe for siphoning local government allocation by the state government. We call for the full observation of fiscal responsibility, specifically Section 162, subsection 6, 7, 8, and 9 should be expunged. Then we talk about the funding of primary education. In any system, the foundations always matters a lot. And if foundation may be destroyed, there's nothing a righteous man can do. Primary education has been a very important aspect. And so we are saying that funding of primary education should be done by the of government, not just local government alone. It should be funded by the federal government through that's a direct allocation to make our children, be able to get a good foundation as far as education is concerned.
Thank you very much.
So having said that, most other things are already listed in our position papers.
Very good, very good.
It should be looked into and be able to adhere and we will work with them
Present
to
your
change the
paper
system
to us,
in this country.
Nolge.
Thank you and God bless.
God bless you. God bless you, Nolge. God bless you. General and Constitutional Reform Network. General and Constitutional Reform Network. General and Constitutional Reform Network. Nobody? Okay, League of Women. League of Women. League of Women. Let's hear from the women, our mothers. Please. You have 3 minutes. 3 minutes. I can see 2 women walking up. Maybe it's going to be a joint one.
Thank you. The chairman of this session, our very distinguished Senator Almekana and Senator Matthew Rowide, and our mother, the national leader of the League of Women Voters Nigeria, distinguished Senator Stella Omu, who is present here. I haven't said that, let me go straight because I have 5 minutes. We have studied the Constitution and we looked at critically into 24 sections, most especially section 14, which dealt on inclusion of women. And we want to endorse completely the position of the Edo State government on women issues because they are contained in our paper. We don't want to repeat that. We also endorse the NSC position for equal pay for all sexes. But we added in our own paper allowances too. Because in one of the sections, taxes and allowances, you have children allowances being paid to men, and the women, married women, do not have such allowances. So we want it effected in the Constitution
that equal pay, equal allowances for men and women who do the same job. So we have said in all ramifications that not less than 35% representation for both sexes, men and women, either for private, public, or elective positions. Not less than 35% for both sexes. So you can see women were not selfish, but want equal representation. We have also said that INEC should be empowered constitutionally to reject nominations that do not obey the 35%, not less than 35% representation of both sexes. Now, I've also said that the Constitution has too much masculine languages. He, more than 16 places in the Constitution. So it refers to men, only men, and no language to refer to women. We found out that, and we said this Constitution should use persons, should refer to men and women as persons. And we also said twinning is very necessary this time around. Where a governor nominee, a governor candidate has to nominate a deputy. If the governor nominee is a male, the Constitution should ensure that his nomination will be a female. And if the governor nominee is a female, the Constitution should insist that that female should nominate a male as his deputy. If you are supposed to say ayes. Thank you. Lastly, I want to appeal to everybody here. Just look at the high table. Just look at the high table. Is that correct? So distinguished senators, please write your name in gold this time around and correct all the anomalies that affect women in the Constitution. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It is time for an inclusive Nigeria's Constitution. And we start by stating that any democracy that is not intentionally engendered stands the risk of being endangered. This memorandum for the review of the 1999 Constitution is submitted by the UN Women in Political Participation in strategic alliance with the Nigerian Women Trust Fund and Women in Can, WOWICAN. Female political representation in the 2019 elections was negligible relative to the approximately half of the population they constitute. Of the 2,970 female candidates, making up 11.36%, only 70 got elected, a meager 4.71% of the elected officials. This figure represents a decline from the 2015-2019 period, where women formed 4.5% of elected officials. From the foregoing, therefore, we want to submit that there is a need to ensure gender-neutral and sensitive language in our Constitution. Masculine languages are gender-biased and undermine women and girls' political participation, which further hinders inclusive governance in Nigeria. Ensure equitable women representation in government through at least 35% of women representation in appointive offices at the federal and state levels. Include gender as a benchmark for federal character. The Constitution already recognizes the provisions of federal character as an affirmative action, but it excludes the inclusion of gender, and we are recommending that. Create additional special seats for women in the federal and state legislative houses. In Senate, 1 seat for a woman from the 36 states and the federal capital. In the House of Representatives, 2 seats for women from the 36 states and the federal capital. And in the state houses of assembly, 1 seat from each of the 3 senatorial districts in the state. Very distinguished chairman and ladies and gentlemen, we want to submit that the Constitution that the Nigerian women desire is one that is intentionally drafted to be gender inclusive, gender specific, and gender responsive. It should be devoid of biases and archaic degrading languages. The Constitution must amplify the voices of women and establish a mandate for equal representation of gender, socially, politically, and economically. It should also recognize and protect the liberty and autonomy of women. It should establish legal structures that ensure the advancement of women socially, politically, and economically. It should mandate the state to protect women's rights and liberties as far as social, political, and economic welfare and process is concerned. We hope that when this review is finally concluded, we will have a constitution that establishes the recognition for international treaties and agreements on the ratification of legal instruments like the 35% affirmative action that support and protect women and children's rights. It is long overdue, and the women pray that this will not just be a talk shop, but a deliberate and conscious effort to integrate the views of women in such a way that at the end of the day, we have a truly inclusive Nigeria's constitution. God bless Nigeria. God bless our country. Thank you very much.
My name is Ojubo. I am the Untitled Chapter, Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities in those states. And here I saw I'm calling the organizers of this program when I saw it, immediately I saw it, and I decided to pick it. Because at this stage in time, I was happy that the country is about to go for another amendment of the country's constitution. And as it is found in other countries, the constitution of other countries make provision for persons with disabilities. That is why you find out that everywhere when you travel abroad, things are put in place for them. Now we have asked us to summarize, so for that we have submitted the paper. But I want to talk on the electoral reform. I've listened to everyone that came out here to talk. I thank God for the Edo State contingent that said theirs was inclusive of both the women and the vulnerable persons. But you find out that all the persons that have said something here today, nobody mentioned specifically something about persons with disabilities or women with disabilities. Now, in the House of Rep, or the House of Assembly, or the House of Representatives, we have women here, even though they are of minute number, I would say, but all these women, who is a woman with disability there? You will agree with me that a person who has something that is attached to her, just like the way I walked in here with a wheelchair, I will be able to advocate more for good wheelchairs and good environment for persons with disabilities. I will be able to advocate for education, a good educational structure for persons with disabilities. I will be able to talk because I wear the shoe and I know where it pinches. So women with disabilities or persons with disabilities are not represented in the electoral system, even those who want to be electoral represented, due to discrimination of one kind or the other, they are knocked out. Now, when it comes to education, it's only a person with a disability who is educated that will be wholly inclusive. You will agree with me. But you find out that the structure or the system have not provided any educational system or structure. That is why you will take a child with disability to school, to a public school. Education is supposed to be for all, and the school will reject such a child on the ground of disability. I am a disability advocate. I have gone to schools. I have gone to talk to some teachers and said, why would you take this child into your school? They said they don't have the facilities. Some said that if they don't, they cannot do. So, and then we'll talk of employment, job employment. Some people, persons with disabilities, are being denied of job employment because they say they cannot take them. When you, like now, there is educational, employment that's currently taking place now. I have told you that only 6 persons have been taken from my state. We are following it up. Others are qualified, but they are not taken. So you find out that we are all these things, but when they are enshrined in the Constitution, that the Constitution have a legislation for it, the Constitution have a place for it, that people with disabilities, if you are capable or you are educated, you should be taken to school or get a job. The people that deny us of all this time will not be doing so. So I want to pray this honorable house that as we go back to make amendments, please, I'm saying disability.
Those who are yet to be invited, please bear with us. We will invite you tomorrow. Don't forget, when you get to the level of a Senate, the Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you are no longer a small boy or a small girl. You can ask Senator Stella. It's only distinguished people that get to that level. And before you get to that level, your age, not is what you know. So we need to rest. We are senators. We are not honorable members of House of Assembly. We are not members of the House of Reps. We are senators. And so having worked very hard today, please permit us to close the work for today, now, so that we can reconvene tomorrow to run it up, if you wouldn't mind. But sincerely, I want to thank each and every one of us for being very active throughout the proceedings for today, and particularly for the